Shamia, if you're gonna be bold enough to throw shade, make sure that you're bold enough to stand on it when the person checks you. Because baby, the way that you backpedaled and pee-popped at that dinner table last night was so embarrassing and corny of you. Let's talk about it.
Roxiie says we're gonna talk about it.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Roxiie with Roxiie Says, and we're gonna talk about it today. We are reviewing The Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 14, if I'm not mistaken. All right, let's get right into this review. Well, we're gonna chat for a little bit, but before we do, please don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that you hit that notification bell so that you are made aware every time I post a new video. And I gotta tell you all, thank you so much. We hit 36K subscribers. I'm so excited, and I could not have done it without you all. All right, so let's chat for like 2 seconds, okay? Because we know a lot of things happened during the week, okay? How much do these ladies get paid to attend the reunion? Because between Brit skipping out on the reunion and them having Drew sit in the last chair, baby, the way that these girls are all up in Drew's business, even in this episode, if I were her, I wouldn't have even shown up unless I had first chair. Because Andy, what you're not about to do is ask me all of these questions from way across the room. No, sir. No, ma'am. And y'all see, y'all see how Brit is suing y'all, right? Y'all got exactly what you deserve, okay? Let's get into this review. So the episode opens up on day 2 of the Grenada trip, and you already know that I had to bust a little wine for the soca music that they were playing. You already know, all right? So far, it looks like all of the ladies are in good spirits, especially since they got a little lit last night, okay? However, Miss Brit Edie, she threw up. Didn't your husband already tell you and us that you can't handle your liquor? He made that clear in episode 2. So what you're telling me is that you still haven't figured out your limit? You haven't figured your limit out yet? And in her confessional, Brit says, look, I told everyone that I can't take shots because shots are for college girls, okay? And we're wives. Well, some of us. Boo. Boo, Brit, tomato, tomato, tomato. Anyway, overall, they all say that they feel this renewed sense of peace, but we know that that won't last for very long with these ladies, okay? So we see Angela, she's calling Charles. It's 10 a.m. and the phone is just ringing and ringing and ringing. And she says that they spoke earlier, but the call was very brief because he told her that he was too busy to talk to her since he was cooking. But Angela tells us that she thinks that he misses her. Girl, what? Girl, what? So we see Angela calling Charles multiple times again, and he doesn't answer. Angela, what is this? Is your storyline to show us that Charles doesn't like you? Is that what we're doing at this point? I hate that for you, okay? Anyway, the ladies are preparing to go on a couple of excursions. So we see Phaedra. She's in her confessional talking mess as usual, and she's saying that Kelly's boobs are too big. What is Phaedra's purpose this season? Just to body shame everyone, like to sit up in her confessionals and call people old and ugly and talk about their, like, what's her purpose? We gonna get to Phaedra a little later, okay? So anyway, Shamia ain't got no panties because she says that her luggage was never found and now they can't even track it. So at this point, everyone is downstairs and they're waiting for Portia, and they're splitting into 2 groups for today's excursions, okay? So Kelly is super excited and she starts speaking loud. We know Kelly is loud, okay? And Phaedra says, oh my God, she yells because she's like a mix between a garden gnome and a Tinkerbell, okay? And Kelly was like, no. And you can tell that Kelly is holding her tongue in this moment. She want to say something, but she's like, you know what? Let me keep it cute, okay? So next they talk about that crystal that they were passing around at the dinner table last night. And Brit says, no one listened to me when I had the crystal. And Shamia's like, yeah, because when you got the crystal, you started talking about Apollo, and that was irrelevant. I wanted to know about Drew's man Black. Shamia, why do you want to know who Drew's man is? Isn't that irrelevant to you as well? Like, why do you want to know that information? Did Portia tell you to inquire about that? Huh? Did Portia put you up to this, Shamia? I'm sure she did. So Brit tells Shamia, girl, you don't get to tell me what I want to talk about when I got the crystal. Right. So Brit and Shamia, they do have a little back and forth, and you can tell that there's some beef brewing between these two, okay? So we see them break off into the separate buses. One bus has Shamia, Portia, Phaedra, and Cynthia, and Shamia tells them that Brit came over in her Rolls Royce wearing her Birkin bag, and she only donated 3 rolls of toilet paper. And then she later sent $250 towards her donation. So Phaedra says that no one should have given less than $1,000. And Shamia says that when she spoke spoke to Kelly about Brit's lack of a donation, Kelly agreed with everything that she said, all right? So next they get on Drew, and Portia says, look, I'm not going to say nothing about Drew anymore because, we sort of patched things up, and I think that we can get past all of our issues. And I said, good, because you're the only one who's been keeping everything going, Portia. This is all on you. But Portia says that Drew does need to apologize to Shamia for calling her a lapdog, okay? Because she feels like Drew is making that comment to insinuate that Shamia is below Portia, and she isn't. And in Shamia's confessional, listen to this. In Shamia's confessional, she says, you know what? When I go places, no one even knows who Drew Sidora is. So I'd rather be a lapdog than be forgettable. You thought you ate, huh? You thought, Shamia, you thought you ate? You'll be trying to read people and you still end up reading yourself every time, girl. Every time. So since you would rather be a lapdog, that's what we gonna call you. And don't get mad about it either, okay? Because clearly that's the title that you want for yourself. And once again, we see Phaedra shading Drew's outfit. Phaedra, if this is all you're giving this season, baby, you could have stayed your ass home. You could have stayed your ass home, all right? So now we are on the bus and the ladies ask Phaedra how she feels about Angela. And Phaedra says even though she can't get a good read on Angela just yet, she knows Charles, okay? And he's too funny and he's always been the life of the party and Charles is crazy and blah, blah, blah. But she says that they haven't hung out in years and she's never known him to be married. I said, child. So that's why Angela's been posting a bunch of photos with her and Charles at different events with different people and celebrities and stuff so that she can kind of give the girlies proof that Charles was never hiding her and she's been out and about with him. Okay, girl. So meanwhile, in the other van, we have Brit, Kelly, Drew, and Angela. And Brit says that she likes Phaedra and she's ready to get to know her more. But Kelly and Angela, if you watch this scene, those two remained quiet on that question, okay? They clearly don't see it for Phaedra. I definitely understand why Kelly doesn't see it for Phaedra. She's always trying to shade her. And as for Angela, Phaedra and Charles, I don't know. Phaedra says that she knows Charles, so maybe they've had some type of history, something. If you know the tea, let me know down below, okay? So Angela tells us that she still hasn't spoken to Charles all day. All day. This is crazy, girl. What's going on? Because I know he's still not cooking. He not still cooking. Why hasn't he called you back, girl? You know what? Anyway, so we get to see the ladies, all right? And they all show up to their separate excursions. So Brit, Kelly, Drew, and Angela, they went to a distillery. And then they also met up with a couple of chefs who taught them how to make some oil down. Baby, I love oil down, okay? So Kelly is excited to learn a new recipe from a new place. And she also doesn't mind being taught how to cook this little meal by a fine chef, okay? She said the chef is fine. And Kelly makes a joke about Angela being married, so she tells her she can't look. And Angela said, girl, I'm married. I ain't blind. Angela said, don't play with me. I ain't blind, okay? So we see them making the oil down. They got the breadfruit and the chicken and the pigtail and the pumpkin and the callaloo, okay? And when they start shaping the dumplings, of course, the innuendos about length and girth are flowing because they're making it in the shape of a... You see the picture, okay? You see Drew making a little dumpling, all right? So now it's time to eat. And Brit tells them that although all of the food looks amazing, she can't eat anything with beef or pork. Okay, girl. So anyway, they start eating and Brit says that she feels like the trip has been refreshing, even though she's had some issues with Drew and Angela before they got here. And Angela doesn't even say anything to that, but she lets us know in her confessional that for right now, she's cool with Brit and she doesn't think that she's going to have to call her a whore ever again. I said, okay, Angela. So out of nowhere at all, we see Kelly pick up a black napkin and she's like, what is this? What is this? What color is this napkin? I just want to know who Black is. Do y'all not have anything else? Anything else to talk about other than Drew? Nothing is for y'all sitting at this table. Nothing? Nothing at all. So anyway, they ask Drew if what she has going on with Black is more than a friendship, if there's flirting going on. Who gives? Y'all are... I don't know if I was irritated when I watched this episode, but this episode pissed me off from start to finish. From start to finish, I was like, what is this? Like, what is going... Okay, let me stop ranting, all right? So Drew says that there was nothing going on, and if she was in a situation where she found love again, she would scream it from the mountaintops because that's what she truly wants, but that's not where she is right now. Her only focus for right now is finalizing her divorce, all right? So now we're with Shamia, Portia, Phaedra, and Cynthia, and they went to Allendale Falls. So beautiful, so beautiful. I go every time I'm in Grenada. Here's a little pic of me there. Yeah, and we see them do a little photo shoot in their bathing suits, and Shamia lets us know that she feels a little insecure because she doesn't have her one piece that she packed because they lost her damn luggage. She only has her two piece, and she doesn't feel like her body is two piece ready right now, okay? I think Shamia looks great, but my opinion is irrelevant. She needs to feel that for herself, all right? So after their little waterfall photo shoot, the ladies sit down to eat, and Phaedra says that Brit's cool, but she doesn't understand why she brought Apollo up at last night's dinner. She doesn't even think that Brit was coming for her or anything like that, but she just doesn't understand the point of her mentioning it at all, especially because Apollo didn't even show up. He didn't even come. So had you not said anything, she wouldn't have known anything, okay? And I said, well, the reason why she did that was because Brit is always looking for a moment. She wasn't the main part of that conversation, so she had to blurt something out. She blurted out the first thing that she could think of, okay? Brit always needs to be the center of attention, and we're going to see more of that later in this episode, all right? So then they talk about Brit saying that she doesn't always feel supported by the ladies, and we get a flashback of her talking to the ladies at her brokey brunch, okay, telling them the same thing. And Portia tells her, well, you don't invite us over. And Brit says, well, you've never invited me anywhere either. And Portia says, Brit, let's not do that tit for tat stuff, okay? And Portia tells us in her confessional that Brit is always whining about something when the real thing is, girl, we don't know you yet. You're new here. We don't know you. Get to know us first, okay? So anywho, we then see these ladies talking about Black as well. Drew is really that girl this season. She should not have shown up to that reunion unless she got first chair, okay? Because this is crazy. I'm not going to let y'all piss me off. No, we're not going to do it. So Portia's like, ooh, well, Drew said that they're just friends, but I've seen photos of them hanging out. Ooh, okay, girl, so what? So what? But that's pretty much the entire conversation. That's all that they talk about while they're eating their food. Okay, so on the way back, Shamia is so happy to be singing about booty holes with Portia, and she tells us that she feels so good that she finally got her best friend back. And I said, oh, is that all it takes? A little booty hole jam session? Okay, girl. So all of the ladies, they head home to get ready for dinner that starts at 7 p.m. sharp, and no one can be late because they are meeting with the prime minister, okay? And as they're all going downstairs, Phaedra tells Kelly, oh, you look nice. You look like a flower. And Kelly says, well, thank you, Phaedra. And here goes Phaedra. I see garden gnomes do come through. Okay. Kelly, why didn't you hit this lady back and tell her about all that damn embalmment fluid that she got injected all up in her face and her lips since she has so many jokes? I mean, Kelly probably can't use that joke because she got the same thing going on. But Kelly, say something. Don't let Phaedra just rag on you like that all throughout the episode. Please stand up, okay? So we finally see Angela get in touch with Charles on the phone. And this man does not miss her. And if he does, he's trying his best not to show it. And it's not a good look. He's being rude. He's giving her one-word answers. And Angela says that she feels like he's being petty because it's their anniversary and he won't be getting any bedroom action since she's on vacation. Angela, that is childish AF. How old is Charles? 92? Like, sir, stop it. Okay, that's so childish. And I don't like seeing these two interact at all at this point. In episode 1 and 2, it's like, okay, they got a little banter. It's funny. It's cute. But now I don't even like to see them together because Charles, it's almost like his goal is to show the world that he doesn't like Angela. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Okay. So child, next we see some of the ladies. They're taking shots before they go out. And here goes Shamia in a very passive aggressive tone. You can have a shot if you want one. And if you don't, you can politely say, I don't want a shot. You can politely decline because I don't want anyone to say that I'm pressuring them, okay? And Brit obviously knows that Shamia is talking about her and she's being passive aggressive, okay? Because the previous night, we saw that Shamia kept offering Brit shots when Brit claims that she didn't want them. And Brit says, well, I already declined. I've been declining since last night, okay? And apparently Brit feels like she's too classy for shots. Not classy enough to be talking about pulling out whips and pistols though, right? You're not too classy, but and you're not too classy to do what you're going to do at the end of this episode either, right? Brit, kiss my ass. I'm so sick of Brit, okay? So we see the ladies. They arrive to the restaurant and it's absolutely beautiful. The food looks delicious. All of the things. And we see Kelly. Kelly starts the conversation about how happy she is that they were able to give and to help the people of Grenada. And we hear Phaedra off to the side and she says, yeah, I gave $1,000. And Shamia says, yeah, because what you can't do, is pull up in Birkins and Rolls Royces and then not really give when it counts. Okay. And here goes Kelly. Yep. I totally agree. I totally agree. And Brit is looking around like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing. She catches it because it's obvious. And then when she checks Shamia on it, Shamia says, oh, you think I'm throwing shade? Shamia, that's your problem, okay? Stop with the passive aggressiveness and stand on your shit. Then Shamia starts talking about, girl, if I was throwing shade at you, you would know it. Well, you threw it and she knows it, and now she's checking you on it, and you're being weird about it because you don't want to own up to it, okay? So now Shamia is doing all this huffing and puffing because Brit keeps telling her that she's being passive aggressive, and she's been doing it all night. And I don't even like Brit, okay? I don't even like Brit, so I'm even more upset with Shamia because you got me here defending her. I don't even like this girl, but we got to call a thing, okay? If you throw shots at someone and they call you out on it, you got to stand on it. You got to stand on it because Shamia looks so weak right now. She looks so weak right now. And y'all know I can't stand Brit, but in this scene, she's 100% right. You throwing shots about my brokey donation, so when I meet you at your door, don't look around like, oh my God, what are you talking about? I didn't say that, girl. Bye, all right? So Shamia tells Brit to lower her voice because she's being loud and aggressive. And Brit says, you don't tell me how loud I can speak. You don't tell me what to say. You don't tell me what to do. And here goes Kelly flip-flopping because, girl, you're the one who even initiated this conversation, knowing damn well that it was about to be an ambush on Brit, okay? You knew exactly what you were doing. Did Shamia put you up to that? Are you Shamia's new lapdog, Kelly? Because that's what it's giving. That's what it's giving, okay? So Kelly says that maybe Brit just didn't know how much money to give, and she should try to be that girl in all aspects, okay? Not just with the Birkins and the Rolls Royces. Child, they are hung up on that Birkin and the Rolls Royce, all right? So Brit is really confused by what Kelly is saying because in her confessional, she's like, I thought this was supposed to be my bestie. She's not really acting like one right now, okay? And Brit says that she called Shamia beforehand, and Shamia told her, just give what you can. So I guess Brit is trying to say that's all that she was able to afford to give. Maybe that's all she had. Whatever, okay? So then they have more of a back and forth, and Shamia says, look, I'm not going to talk to her if she keeps speaking to me like this. Shamia, shut up. Shut up. You are going out so sad. It's so crazy because I remember when they showed the, when they showed the trailer for this season, we were so hyped for you. Everyone was like, yes, Shamia, bringing money to RHOA. And in episode 1, you were talking about you're the glue that holds everything together. Girl, no, you are not. Shamia, I don't even want to see you back next season. I'm not even going to hold you. I don't want to see you back next season, okay? So Brit says, well, does anyone else have anything that they want to say to me directly? And the table is quiet for a bit until Portia brings up Brit's statements about not feeling supported, okay? And Portia also says that Brit wasn't really open to it. So Brit asks Portia, she's like, are you asking me a question or are you making a statement? And Portia's like, Brit, let's try to speak in a friendly tone, okay? So then Brit starts going off about Portia not saving her phone number or acknowledging her in the group chat. And Portia says, girl, that was only one time. So Portia gives us a confessional where she explains what happened, okay? So she says that there was a group chat with all of the ladies, and these are new numbers in the group chat, some of them at least. So she told everyone to put their name in the chat so she knows who's who. Apparently, Brit didn't do that. So when Brit said, hey, Portia, I'm talking to you in the chat, Portia responded, well, who the hell are you? Because Brit never put her name in the chat. That made Brit upset. That made Brit upset. I don't know what it is, and I'm sure that it stems from childhood, but Brit has a huge problem with not being acknowledged, to the point where she will create a scenario in her head, like how all of this mess started with her saying that Kenya didn't hug her. She was the only one who Kenya didn't hug. When we watch it back, Kenya didn't hug any of the new girls, but Brit took that and ran with it. See, I was with you, Brit, on the Shamia tip because Shamia was being passive aggressive, but on this tip, you back to looking crazy. You're right on back to looking crazy all over again, okay? So they're still going back and forth in this nice, nasty tone. And then we see that the prime minister is approaching. So Shamia tells them, okay, y'all, let's put a pin in this conversation for now. And baby, the way that they went from arguing to, hi, how are you? How are you? As soon as he arrived, that part did have me cracking up, okay? So the ladies invite him to dine with them, and they love that he's easy on the eyes as well. And in their confessional, they're saying little jokes about who would be the best first lady of Grenada out of the group. And Phaedra's in her confessional talking about, well, Drew wouldn't cut it because her Timu outfit would be offensive to the constituents. Phaedra, shut up, Phaedra. Phaedra, shut. I didn't laugh at one thing Phaedra said in this episode. Not one thing. Not one thing, okay? Everything she says just comes off as she's trying too hard. She wants to be mean, and it's just corny. And she thinks that she's shading everyone, but all she's really doing is making herself look insecure. That's all you're doing, Phaedra. We all know that you're the baddest one on the cast. Okay, we all know that you the cutest, you look the youngest, you got the best clothes, you got the most money. Okay, Phaedra, but production, is this what y'all thought would save the season? This is what y'all thought was going to save the season? Y'all could have kept y'all money and kept Phaedra. You really could have kept your money and kept Phaedra, okay? So anyway, when the prime minister leaves, the ladies are still discussing him and the fact that he has 2 children, and they assume that he's not married because he doesn't wear a ring. And Brit says, well, I know plenty of married people who don't wear any rings. And I said, okay, that is very true, Brit. That is very true. And here goes Angela offering up information that nobody asked her, okay? And she lets the ladies know that Charles doesn't wear a ring. And even Portia says in her confessional, why does this lady just holler out her business like that? Why? And then Angela gives them more information by saying that it's something that they're going to continue to discuss in therapy. Oh, Angela. Oh, Angela, you're sitting at this table with one woman who said that she would your husband, okay? A bunch of women who thought that it was funny when she said it, and a couple of women who also thought that it was funny that Charles possibly had a baby on you. Why are you offering them this type of information? Why? You shouldn't be saying anything. It's a show. It's a storyline. You got to say what you got to say. But child, I wouldn't be talking. Anyway, at least we do see that the ladies were kind enough to get Angela a cake for her anniversary, and they make a whole thing out of it. They're cheering, they're recording, they're singing songs and stuff. It was a sweet moment, okay? And Angela starts getting emotional because she's really feeling the love. But I feel like the real reason why she was getting emotional was because she's currently feeling more love from these ladies than she is from her own husband, Charles, okay? And we saw that she could barely get his ass on the phone. So Cynthia says, you know what? I pray that it all works out. And Angela gives her the side eye and she's like, what you mean, Cynthia? That comment seemed a little loaded. And Cynthia was like, oh, no, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it like that. Angela, baby, you're projecting. You're projecting, okay? So now it's time for them to leave, and Brit still feels away because nothing was resolved at the dinner. And Portia says, look, there's nothing for us to resolve. I was only bringing it up to figure out how we can support you in the future. And I honestly don't think that Portia brought it up to be shady, like in the way that Kelly and Shamia brought up the donations to be shady towards Brit. I don't think that Portia had that type of energy. But Brit is still going on about it, even when they're back in the car. And Phaedra says, you know what, Brit? Listen. Rule of thumb, never donate less than $1,000. And Brit says, okay, that's fine. But, let's go back to me not being invited to Portia's home. She's never invited me anywhere. You've never invited me anywhere. None of you ladies have ever invited me to your place. And she just won't stop. She won't stop. So Phaedra kind of checks her in and she says, look, you keep putting yourself in the hot seat and you're sitting on ready at all times, and you can't do that BS all night because, baby, you're the new girl. You're the new girl, so you need to be approaching these situations in a more friendly way, okay? You are coming into a group of already established women. These women know each other. They've been knowing each other for years, some of them over a decade. You coming through like, oh, I'm Brit and this is, girl, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work, all right? So Brit tells Phaedra, okay, well, I guess I gotta be fake. Listen, Brit, if that's what you took from that advice that Phaedra gave you, we can't help you, mama. Okay, we can't help you. So meanwhile, in the other van with Portia, Kelly, Cynthia, and Shamia, we hear Shamia on the phone with her husband, Gerald, and he's calling to tell her that Shiloh's caregiver wasn't being attentive enough, didn't dress her right, and now she has a cold and a fever, which of course is heightened for Shiloh because her immune system is already weaker than other babies of the same age, all right? And Gerald says that he gave her some Tylenol, but he'll take her to the doctor if she's not feeling better by the morning. And I'm sure that as stressful as this situation is, that Shamia is so thankful for a husband and father like Gerald, who is so hands-on, because we all know that there are a lot of married single mothers out here whose husbands would have already called them and told them to bring their ass home to come take care of this baby. We know, okay? But Shamia starts crying because she feels really guilty that she's not there to be with Shiloh. And of course, all of the women offer her comfort in this moment. And Kelly calls the other van to let the ladies know what's going on, okay? So when they get back to the villa, they all hold hands and they say a prayer for Shamia and Shiloh. And Shamia just starts bawling. She feels really horrible and she's breaking down, all right? So we see Brit go over. Brit hugs Shamia and she says, girl, I love you and I have your back no matter what's going on. No matter what's going on, because we We're a part of your village, okay, girl? And I love you. And I got you, okay? Now, this is really funny coming from Brit because I've seen multiple interviews where Shamia says that the reason why her and Brit aren't cool today is because Brit said some horrible things about her kid. So this scene, I was just like, girl, this is rich coming from you, okay? So Brit also starts crying and she's like, girl, I love you. I love you. She's just doing the most. Brit, if you don't go sit your ass down somewhere, go sit your ass down, okay? Because now you're doing way too much and you're looking for a moment once again. So Brit ain't done. She keeps going and she's like, girl, I'll take a shot of tequila for you. And everyone starts laughing. Listen, the laughter was needed in this moment because for a minute, everyone was looking around and looking at Brit like, girl, is you cool? Like, are you okay? But Shamia did need that laugh too. So I'm not mad at it, okay? Thank you, Brit, I guess, for lightening up the mood, okay? So Brit runs over to the kitchen and she brings shots and she says that her taking one with Shamia is a truce between them. No, girl, you just wanted to drink. Yeah, keep it real. You just wanted to drink, and this was the perfect excuse for you to do so because y'all could have formed the truce in a different way. Y'all could have pinky swore. Y'all could have did something different. You didn't have to go get no shots, okay? And after they finished the shots that Brit has been saying all episode, she's too classy to drink, she runs back over to the kitchen, and she's like, oh, now let me get some champagne. Okay, Brit, so you just like to drink. You just like to drink, but then you also like to blame it on other people when you get drunk, show your ass, and start throwing up. That's what you do. And I meant showing your ass literally because child Brit starts showing everything. She pulls her top up and she just got them things just all over the place, okay? And while some of the ladies are entertained by her shenanigans, Shamia's in her confessional like, what's happening? Do I need to call somebody for her? What's going on? And I'm like, is this the same Brit who's suing? Is this the same Brit, the one who got her top off and she, and is this the same one who's suing for, you know what? Go to Tammy Talks page. Shout out to Tammy Talks. She did a whole rundown on the lawsuit. Go over to her page and watch that. But that is the end of this episode, okay? Tell me what you thought about it. Were you entertained? Were you as annoyed as I was? Because, baby, I was so irritated. Before you leave, don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that you hit that notification bell. And I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Oh, and also, thank you so much for 36K. Bye.
Roxiie says we're gonna